Well, I'm basically doing this video to wake up a lot of people. I mean, we're having so much problems in the economy and stuff, and government's not really helping. It's just a big mess. I mean, we're losing our rights one after another in the name of national security, and oh yeah, there's a terrorist over here, so we got to take away your right to freedom of speech. We got to take away your right to this and that, and then people who do raise up their voices or do try to be like, hey, this isn't cool, they arrest them and throw them in jail and make them criminals or terrorists, whatever they want to call them. And the judges and the lawyers and then the police to enforce their rules so they can throw people in jail and say whatever they want. And let's reality, let's say. I mean, what are you really going to do? The cops are going to come out and they're going to arrest everybody. That's how bad the United States is becoming. We can see that at different protest groups where people are trying to speak up for their rights and they get tear gassed, beaten in the face, all sorts of nice things, and then usually the press conference afterwards is like, yeah, they were throwing rocks or something. Well, it's kind of understandable. You oppress people and you tell them you don't have the right to do this or that, and then when you show up in riot gear and people are already pissed, what do you expect? All the police are is a form of control to keep the population under control if the people don't like the government. The same way with the military. Military is only there to provide in case of a rebellion or in case of some civil unrest that the people are very displeased with their government and decide to, let's say, just revolt. The military is going to be the first one called in after the police can't handle it. So they're going to kill off all the civilians. Whether the revolt is legitimate or not, whether the country is corrupt or tyrannical or not, it doesn't matter. The military is there to put it down. And, this gets back to basically the police. They usually will try to stop this before it ever reaches this point. They'll throw them in jail. And, when you're in jail, you have to deal with abuse. And, of course, since there's no cameras to prove that they are abusing you, even if you were to say they were, there's no point. I mean, they get away with it. They cover up for themselves. So here we have this problem again. We have everybody that has money influencing the politicians, and the politicians are basically telling us, well, this is for the good of the country. These laws are for all of you. This is for good of you. When in fact, they're being controlled by the rich or the people that have the money to just put it in their pocket. So it's like, okay, we hired you, and it's like, okay, you're not helping us. So reality of things is this is not going to have a peaceful solution. I mean, we have tried peaceful solutions. Keep trying peaceful solutions. I mean, protests. As I said before, they beat them, haul you off to jail, arrest you, just for trying to get back your freedoms, get back your rights that are basically in the Constitution of the United States. I guess that piece of paper doesn't matter anymore to them. It's amazing. My grandfather was a very good guy, went to World War II. I think if he was still alive, he would be very pissed off at the government at this moment in time because of the way the government's treating their people, taking away their rights under the guise of protection and national security, when in fact all it is a power play. All it is a means to control. And I guess maybe if people would wake up and see that, maybe they'd be like, holy crap, And even if you look at the definition of freedom, and one of the sites I looked at, the power to determine action without restraint. Do we have that? Can we actually go do stuff and not have to worry about, okay, you know what, I think I might be doing something illegal, so now I'm going to get arrested or have to be worried about getting arrested. I think this is a common problem. So many more new laws are coming into effect. It's like, okay, what is actually legal and what is illegal? I mean, there's so many laws out there. I mean, you could probably find a law that states that something ridiculous is illegal. And, of course, Most of the time, what happens is the judges uphold the law, whether it's good or bad. The police enforce it. They abuse their power, and that's just the way it is, and we're just supposed to accept it. Now, if we don't have the money to get a good lawyer to help us in a situation if we were falsely accused, or whatever the case may be in a court, most of the time, the representation that you get from a court-appointed attorney is pretty crappy. You're not going to get good representation 95% of the time. And even when you do, still they're going to be screwing you in some way or another. And the point is that they don't care about you, they care about the money they make. So, if you have a lot of money, most likely you won't have to deal with the huge repercussions. But poor people and people who can't afford lawyers, most of the time they get screwed in this system. And you know, the money, it all goes back to the money. The influence and the control and the lack of freedom. And the main question is when are people actually going to sit there and be like, you know, enough's enough, let's do something about it. I don't care if we get called terrorists. I don't care if we're criminals because we're doing what's right. But, you know, people don't look at it like that way. And, of course, when they do catch people like that, it's like, okay, you're a terrorist. You're a criminal because you want your rights back. Isn't that so lovely? I mean, I probably don't expect this YouTube video to stay on YouTube very long. I don't know. I hope it does. I'd like to really wake up people and say, you know what? Playing the video game or doing this, or, you know, it's like like in Rome, how the gladiator arena was there to distract the people, and basically it did. It distracted them from what was really going on with the emperor trying to take control over the country. Isn't that kind of what's going on here? I mean, look at V for Vendetta. I mean, don't you see any similarities here? I mean, I think I see a few. But, you know, people just need to wake up and see that this is not what was meant to be. And the forefathers would be rolling in their graves to see national security used as an excuse, or terrorism, accusations of terrorism to be used as an excuse to incriminate people, to throw people in jail, and to cause fear, panic, and to get rid of your rights. They would be so pissed at this point in time. And I'm very pissed because I have to deal with a lot of legal issues that pretty much were not my fault. But since my legal representation and the crucifying of me because I could not prove that I did steal an item, just made it to a fact that now I'm pretty much in trouble with the law because just because, you know, I didn't have good enough representation. I mean, they screwed me over. They told me, hey, you know what, we're going to charge you $1,700 a year of probation just to get out of a bad situation in jail where you're being abused, misfed, and all sorts of things. I mean, who wouldn't take the probation out, even if they were innocent, after being abused for a month and a half? I mean, sit back and put it. You don't get fed well. You get mistreated by the guards. And you have to deal with the shakedowns. And then, if you're innocent, that makes it even worse. And how? And so, by the time you're done, you're sleep deprived. And sometimes because of, hell, the inmates sometimes cause fights with you or argue with you and you don't get no sleep, or they talk at night, or, you know, something. But the fact of the matter is that you don't eat well, you don't get treated well, and if you're innocent of the crime that you're being, then, you know, it's unbearable, and it's like, what the hell, you know? And so, I hope that I kind of wake people up, so they can see this and see how messed up the government really is. Maybe somebody will finally do something about it. I hope so. I hope I inspire some of you to actually do something. And, you know, do something to make this better, or, you know, anything. I'm just tired of it. It's tiresome. I just want people to wake up.